Hey, it's me AP. In this video, I'll be discussing how I think the remaining movies of 2020 should be released. So we all know what's going on in the world right now with the COVID pandemic. And with this pandemic, it has caused movies to be delayed and delayed and delayed. And it's just quite the case now where, 2020 movies are just in limbo. It's a case of, will they be released? Many big movies have had release dates set and delayed again. And it comes to a point now where you got to say to yourself, are we going to get 2020 movies released? Because it's coming to the back end of the year now, 4 months ago. The realism of this is we might not get any movies released this year at this rate. Movies could be delayed to 2021 at this rate. So I want to go through the options of how movies potentially could be released and just look at how that would affect the releases and how it would work out. So let's talk about the first option for releasing movies, and that is cinemas. As we know, cinemas are starting to reopen around the world, but there is certain places in the US that are still in lockdown. They're going back into lockdown. Cinemas are not getting opened, and this is where and why mainly why big releases are not being put out at this moment in time, because the revenue's not going to be made because half of the cinemas in the US are shut. Here in the UK, cinemas have only just reopened, but I believe it is at like a 25% capacity. So again, the revenue you're not going to make anywhere near what you would normally. In the UK cinemas, I don't know if it's the same in the US, we're getting like reruns of old movies. We've got like Empire Strikes Back being re-released. Tons of old movies just getting re-released. Not a lot, not a lot. I say no new movies at all at this moment. But we have this idea. So say if we have a big blockbuster movie like Tenet being released in cinemas, and if it does get a solid release date and doesn't get delayed again, will people go to the cinemas and will they make the money back? And I say, from my own opinion, this is my opinion, I personally, I enjoy going to cinema, but I would not go or risk going to cinema during this pandemic at the moment. Because as we know, it's one of those things where one day they're saying things are getting better, and the next day things are getting a hell of a lot worse. So for me to sit in a room for 2 hours locked in with a bunch of people where the air is, circulating all the potential viruses maybe, that is not something I would really want to do. And I personally have said to myself, I won't be setting foot in a cinema in 2020. And I enjoy the cinema experience, but for me personally, I value my health more so. I value the health of my family as well. And for me, going to a cinema is not a good option. And I think realistically for, these big production companies like Warner Brothers, Disney, they're not going to want to release them in cinemas at this moment in time because they can't get an overall release to like every state, every country at the same time. They can't get them singular all in one. Like we release in the US every cinema in this day, in the UK at this day, because of local lockdowns and lockdowns of states in the US and across the world. So I think the cinema option is really probably really down the scale and down the tower of options when it comes to releasing movies. The next option I want to talk about is VOD, video on demand. Now, I believe that Trolls, the animated movie Trolls, was released, and this was the first movie sort of during this pandemic where it was set to be released in the cinemas, and then they decided to the kids are all off. Let's just go for it and do video on demand. And I believe that it did quite well at the time, and I maybe that is due to the fact a lot of kids were off school all around the world. A lot of kids' families wanted something to watch, some entertainment, and it was something new, something fresh, and that worked out for that movie. But would video on demand work for bigger blockbuster movies? And also, would it pay off for the companies themselves? It's really hard to say. I think, first of all, you've got to say to yourself, how many people use video on demand? I know people use streaming services, but not everyone goes and buys a digital movie. I don't think it's. I think the whole thing is to do with mindset here, because no one is. I don't think it's just something people are used to doing, going and buying a video on demand. I know it sounds really stupid because of the day and age and technology we live in. People find going to the cinema an easy process, it's just a natural thing because they've done it for years. It's the way we watch movies at the cinema. But I think just like buying a new movie video on demand, I think people are probably more astonished by the price sometimes, and they're like, "I've got to pay this much, and I've got to watch it at home." And it's like, I think for me that is like it's this little weird stigma for video on demand and the prices. But I think video on demand could work if it's priced well. And that is my point here. When you see video on demand services like pay-per-views or big movies being released, the price point is high, and don't get me wrong, I know physical media is high as well. But I think if they made it more reasonable for the release, I can go to my local cinema for a new movie and I can pick up a ticket for about maybe like £8 to £10. And if it was that, maybe I think that would be okay for blockbuster movies. But I think it all has to do with the value and the pricing. So if they get the pricing right and the direct people to how it is, how where to go and get it, I think video on demand could work and it is a good, solid option. So another option I want to discuss is sending new movies, big blockbuster movies, straight to streaming services. You have Disney Plus, you have Netflix, you have Amazon, you have a ton more I can't even think of. There's that many streaming services now. There's way too many. But, if these big movies like Tenet or any, like Mulan, No Time to Die, new James Bond movie, if these movies cut a deal with these stream companies to, as a, like, let's put this big brand new blockbuster on Netflix, I'm sure the likes of Netflix would definitely be interested to get like the new James Bond movie, the rights to have it on Netflix straight away instead of a cinema release. I imagine they pay massive amounts of money, and I think they probably would get more cuts from new subscribers if they could work a deal like that. There could be a lot of money in it then, and I suppose the only thing is then, video on demand, you get like you get the money there, money there. It's just an endless source of it's like passive income. Whereas, say if they cut a deal with a streaming giant, I imagine it would be more a case of here's the lump sum here, and then we'll give you a bit for subscribers. But I don't know. I think streaming is a better avenue for a larger audience. If they want more people to see that movie, streaming services are the way to go, because the majority of people have a streaming service of some sort nowadays. And if we have that access to them brand new movies, people would love it. But I suppose, again, it comes down to what kind of money the studios can make and how much they're willing to lose money-wise compared to a normal cinema release. But given the options at this moment in time, that cinemas a lot of them are partially open, some are closed, some are open, cutting a deal with a big time streaming service might not be such a bad idea. Final type of movie releases I want to talk about is dual sporadic movie releases. Now, you're probably saying, AP, what are you talking about here? What does that mean? And what I'm talking about is, having, like I said, some cinemas around the world are open, some are closed. So, what we could do here for cinemas, what cinemas could do, is release the movie. This is what, Bill and Ted Face the Music, the third Bill and Ted movie that's coming out. They have now announced that they are releasing Bill and Ted 3 on video on demand, and they're releasing it available cinemas, at the same time. So they'll be released on the same day. So people have the option of going to the cinema if the cinema is open and if they feel comfortable going to the cinema. Equally, they can actually just buy the movie at home and watch it on video on demand. And this is what I talk about in the sense of dual sporadic movie releases, where you're releasing it and it's just release it at places when they're available. So if you had like a big movie, you release it video on demand and what cinemas are available, and then whatever cinemas then reopen, then release it there then. It's a case of, it gives options, more options to the viewer. As I say, not a lot of people want to go. Some will want to go, and some will want to stay at home and watch it at home, the new movies. But you're given the option and you're still getting the movie out. And at the same time, I'm sure the production companies can look at this and say, yeah, we're going to lose money, but we're getting something of a cinema release. I know a lot of filmmakers, like, I don't know them. I don't personally know them. I don't know Christopher Nolan. We're not friends. We don't go down the pub and have a glass of water or a pint of something. I don't drink. I drink water. But I'm sure a lot of filmmakers like Christopher Nolan don't want to see his movies. He doesn't want to see his movies just released straight to video on demand. He wants his movies to be experienced in the cinema. And I'm sure there's a lot more filmmakers exactly with that mentality. And there's nothing wrong with that. They make movies to be played in cinemas. That's the way movies are being made to be released, first of all. But if cinemas and if movie companies can give that option to do dual releases more so, at least they get the movies out. At least the movies are not being delayed. And god damn it, at least it gives us some entertainment, something to watch. At this rate, I think it's just a case now, the movie companies need to really just stand and deliver on a decision of what they want to do. Because they can't just keep on delaying and delaying. Because the fact of the matter is, this could go into 2021, and it's going to come to a point where they're going to be like, we need to just get this out and make some money. Whether it be a lot less than what we initially planned to make, it doesn't matter. We just need to release this movie, or whatever movie it is. It needs to get out there. And I think the dual releases of VOD and cinema releases at the same time is the best option moving forward for the movie industry. If you enjoyed this video, please do subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. I do much appreciate it. And let me know also your thoughts on how you think movies should be released for the remainder of 2020. What avenue would you go down to release a movie? Thanks for watching.